So I'm going to do a sermon on fortune because Pastor Alan Jackson said, God wishes us to flourish upon the earth, as in be fortunate. This is not true. I love Pastor Alan Jackson, but he's a very good preacher. One of the best, one of the ones I trust the most. But fortune is not equal to our righteousness. I've seen very righteous people who had no fortune. I've seen very wicked people who had a ton of fortune. So let's just go down the line. There are people who are coal miners, people who work the hardest jobs imaginable. They make very little, barely enough to put a roof over their head. There's some people, they work 60 hours a week, they live in their car. That's just the truth. There's some people who work 1 hour a week, if that, and they make billions of dollars. So there's some people who are very wicked and they have all the money and sex and good delicacies they want. They have access to the best health care. They have everything a man could want, or a woman. They have beautiful women. They have good food. They have nice cars. And then there's people who are very righteous. They sit and they live with their parents, and they're a wonder to the whole world. It says they're a wonder to everybody around them because they're so beaten down. So there's people who are righteous who have fortune, like Pastor Alan Jackson, but it's not because of his righteousness that he has fortune. It's because he worked hard and doors were open. There's wicked people who work hard and doors get open. There's people who work, like I said, long hours, and they effectively can barely afford the rent for an apartment and for a car, and they can't afford it. That's reality. And they're very righteous people. I mean, I've seen righteous people neck deep in human sewage fixing a main. I've seen righteous people with black coal all over their bodies, and they just got off work and they took their son to a hockey game, and he doesn't look very wealthy. I've seen wicked people become president of the United States and multi-millionaires. I've seen wicked people become drug dealers and drug cartels, and they live their whole lives with a pleasant life, and they die a rich man, and they never suffered. They made other people suffer, but they never suffered. So let's be careful about equating fortune with righteousness. I think if you work and there's a market for what you're working for, you get fortune. If there's no market for what you're working for, like I think Paul made tents, it doesn't say he made a whole lot of money for making tents. He just made tents. It doesn't even say he sold the tents. It just says he made tents. For all we know, he might have given it away. It might have just been what he did to occupy his hands was to make tents. That's just the fact. That's just the reality. So, I think when we say that God wants us to flourish upon the earth, it's not. He wants us to have the fruit. Now, here's where I'm going to switch the sermon. He wants us to be filled with mercy, and he wants us to be full of truth. This is true. He wants us to be full of truth. He doesn't want us to lie. He wants us to forgive. I mean, now the fact of the matter is that this is the reality. That's the fact of the matter. God wants us to be full of him, his mercy, and his love, and his truth. And therein lies the reality, is that fortune is not equated to a godly life. You can have a godly life and have no fortune. You can have a very ungodly life and have all the fortune in the world. The reverse is also true. But the fruit, that is our fortune. That is our treasure. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, faithfulness, goodness, self-control. That's our fortune. That's our fortune. Mercy, truth, righteousness, wisdom. That's our fortune. And we need those things. Because without those things, if we had all the riches in the world, we would not be, we could have everything. Happiness, but no joy. We could have agreement, but no peace. We could have infatuation, but no love. That's an empty life. God fills you with good things of the Spirit, and he will take care of you. If you're being persecuted, he will come down and help you, and he will plentifully array and fill your mouth with all the fruit of the Spirit. You just open it, and that's the truth.